Right. Welcome, everyone. And thank you all for joining us today. While people are still dialing in, I think we are at the hour, so we can start with maybe introductions. Most of you know we are pupils of International Spiritual School of the Golden Rosy Cross. And my name is Lydia, and Milos, Omar, Vuji, Lloyd, and I, we will be hosting the meeting today. And of course, we have a number of pupils supporting the call today. So every month, we do offer 3 online public events, public talks, similar to the one we have today. And during these Sunday calls, we have the opportunity to talk about the spiritual path that all of us as pupils are following. And we're trying to share the understanding, our own understanding, and of these teachings that are based on the fundamental principles of the Gnostic philosophy. So the plan for today is we will present some major points. We will start with the presentation around 20 minutes or so, and we will use most of the time for open discussion. We will record only the presentation portion of the meeting. We want to make that recording available also on our website, but we will not streamline or record the exchange portion. We want this discussion to be open. So the best way how you can connect with us during the next hour or so is you can raise your hand, you can raise your virtual hand, and also if you have a question you can or comment, you can also alternatively use a chat, and we will do our best to really answer all the questions and to address all the comments. So here is the topic for today. Let me just see if I can actually. Okay, let's do it this way. Maybe it's better. So the topic for today is body, health, and healing. And we will be talking about these processes of health and healing with a twist. So we will be talking about it from the spiritual perspective, which is good because we're not doctors, we're not medical doctors at least. And what that means is that we look at the body as only one small portion of the much larger system. And so if we are talking about the health of the body, we really need to look at a human being as having 3 aspects, or let's say 3 dimensions. And that is the dimension of the body, the dimension of the soul, and the dimension of the spirit. So if we want to focus on the health of our body, we actually need to focus on the health of the soul. And to be able to have a healthy soul, we really need to re-establish the connection with the spirit. That's the only way how we can achieve not just temporary, but really lasting health. So that will be the spiritual perspective on these main aspects that we will be talking today. So we will start with a quote from Nikola Tesla. Oops. And he's really talking about studying the non-physical phenomena. And the day that science begins to study these non-physical phenomena, it will make more progress than in previous centuries of its existence. So that's what we will try to focus on today, on a non-physical phenomena and explaining these processes from a spiritual perspective. So with that, Milos will now start with the presentation.
Thank you, Lydia. Let us start with the beginning and see where we are in our process of evolution, and should we change our current direction in our lives or just keep going with our current attitude to life. From the moment we became self-aware, our consciousness separated itself from the whole, separated from the immense river of life that flows throughout the universe. For the moment we have become self-aware and with our minds said the word I for the first time, this I has become the central illusion of our life, of the world and universe. Our I became the center of everything, transforming us in egocentric beings. We symbolically abandoned Eden, the paradise of life. We did not physically leave this hypothetical perfect place, but with our mind, we immersed in ourselves. Like Narcissus plunges and loses himself in his own image. We submerged ourselves in our own I and create a world in its image and likeness. But should the fact that we are self-aware and possess I be the cause of such suffering? The answer is no. As we look at the history of humanity and hear the testimony of human consciousness that transcended the boundaries within which we live, we can say that there is a vast horizon for human consciousness that goes beyond the walls of egocentrism. Let us think here of Buddha, of Christ, Krishna, Hermes, or Zoroaster. All these human beings surpassed the frontier of egocentrism, overcoming it in themselves, and professed the path that can take us from self-awareness to a new consciousness. A path that was often symbolically expressed as a miraculous path where human beings were healed of their ills. There is a great illness that must be first overcome if we want to join a completely new and different way of life. It is the disease of egocentrism. The core of human consciousness functions as a great organ of perception. It is a complex energetic flow which uses organic bases such as brain, the nervous system, the endocrine system, our body fluids, as well as the memory of all our cells. But it also expands to the energy layers that surrounds and interpenetrates our entire body. And in today's human beings, at a certain point in their evolutionary history, when the mind grew and matured enough, this nucleus of the consciousness became self-aware, became aware of its own existence. From that moment on, just as a newborn seeks shelter and protection to survive and grow, this nucleus of self-awareness also sought shelter and protection in order to gain form and identity. This process of seeking shelter and protection was symbolically described in Genesis as covering oneself with a fig leaf. And Buddha indicated it as the great attachment, which is the cause of all suffering. This initial process of building an identity that has just been born is something natural. But the construction of the identity, the construction of self-consciousness should be just another phase of human life, like childhood, adolescence, and adulthood. But in our present stage of development, our growth as individuals usually ends when our conscious self manifests itself in adulthood. The concept of becoming an adult is synonymous with ceasing to grow. And what happens for most of humanity is that at this moment, our consciousness also ceases to change. And we begin to function within a more or less limited world, seeking at every moment only the satisfaction of our pursuing individual fulfillment, which is usually directed by our own I. Ironically, it is as if humanity had stopped in adolescence and in its adult phase continue a process full of anxiety and tensions, as was in the construction of individuality. It is as if a caterpillar decided to live its entire life counting and accumulating leaves, not even dreaming of the possibility of undergoing another transformation process, and believe that those who return like butterflies, flying over the branches of the trees, are supernatural beings whose glory is unattainable. This process of accumulation, the fundamental disease of self-centeredness, will need to reach a saturation point for the individual and collectively until we awaken to that which awaits us beyond the border of our own I, of our own self.
If we ask you what it constitutes a healthy human being, we will hear many different answers and different perspectives. Besides the traditional methods to maintain a healthy body, there are other alternative methods, such as acupuncture, homeopathy, Ayurvedic medicine, resonance, polar balance, quantum medicine, and many others that works to elevate the frequency of our subtle bodies, the mental body, the astral body, and the etheric body that undeniably help to maintain our physical body healthier. The spiritual school of the Golden Rosy Cross incorporates to the health topic a couple of aspects. One is the aspect of the soul. As we said at the beginning, there is an intelligent plan in the whole creation. We human beings do not live according to this plan. The goal of this plan, due to its nature, is that we become co-creators in the creation, that we become integrated with and in all dimensions of existence. In order for this to happen, our soul must be transformed into a new soul. Our soul must be healthier. Generally, after being tired of the same or by discernment, human beings search for the renovation of the soul beside of the health of the body. Once the soul is renovated in us, we are on the right path to consciously become co-creators and integrated in all dimensions in the whole existence. This word, we, refers to the second aspect we would like to bring to attention, And this is the complete being of what we consider a human being. As people, as personalities, we are a manifestation of a whole bigger entity that we call a microcosm. This microcosm is the one experiencing evolution, involution, or the other. So when the soul is transformed due to your orientation and attitude of life, and it becomes healthier, then receive the light and strength, the power and the health of the spirit, of the seven Holy Spirit, which is another aspect that we add to the health of everyone regardless. Body, soul, and spirit aligned throughout the process of that we call transfiguration. Then the whole microcosm becomes healthy. Then the whole real human being becomes spiritually healthy. And in each phase of this transformation is igniting and transmitting its healthy lights and power to all and everyone.
So when we are focused and our life energies are around the spirit spark that is in the center of this microcosm, and we receive its inner guidance, then we are healing the most disruptive aspects of these energy systems. That is, we are incorporating ourselves to the oneness of life, to the part of life that creates everything. And so when we start by diminishing our involvement in dual forces, we act in this nature in the forces of the positive or the negative, the swings of a pendulum, and those involvements bring disunity. Whereas when we are attuned to the inflowing forces that guide us, then we are able to align the three sanctuaries of our being. And those three sanctuaries will be able to lead us to a new reality, to become whole again in the now.
So the term holistic stems from the Greek word holos, or whole. Of all the many things we can do to optimize our health on a physical level, ultimately our true source of health, healing, and wholeness is realized through the unification of our mind, body, and spirit in balance and harmony with our microcosm. In the story of Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse, Lord Siddhartha, a Hindu prince, renounces his position and wealth to seek enlightenment as a spiritual ascetic. One day, after 6 years spent meditating in the forest by the banks of a river, Lord Siddhartha heard a musician on a passing boat teaching his young pupil how to play the sitar. The teacher said regarding his instrument, "If you over-tighten the string, it will snap. And if it is too slack, the instrument will not play." That's the moment when Siddhartha realizes that his path to enlightenment as the Buddha was the middle way, the line between all opposite extremes. What is the path of the middle way as it applies to the school of the Golden Rosy Cross? The first step is to orient our consciousness to the Kundalini of the heart. It becomes our North Star. In moments of quiet contemplation, we surrender our I self to this heart force, and by subordinating ourselves to it, the awakening of the spark of the spirit in our heart will initiate the first process of healing, the healing of our egocentricity. This first process of healing will unleash the second, allowing the new consciousness to begin to act upon its inner world as a healing balm, a powerful remedy for our endless worries, anxieties, and fears, which are the diseases of our soul. And as Milos said, from within our being, a metamorphosis begins to occur that affects the outside, like a caterpillar transforming into a beautiful butterfly. Thus, our four bodies, physical, etheric, astral, and mental, come into harmony through balance and realignment. This is the way we can begin to heal our microcosm, the minutus mundi, or small universe, which each of us inhabits as a human being of this nature-born experience. When dealing with healing situations as a result of becoming out of balance and deviating from this middle way, it's best not to judge ourselves and wonder how our past actions may have contributed to our lack of health, as this may lead to a worsening of our condition. Instead, as Max Heindel mentioned, we can view our health issues not as a punishment, but a tremendous opportunity for unification with God through the healing process. Often, our pain and suffering from mistakes and past deeds lead us to a greater self-knowledge and a stronger desire for reconnection to our spirit. Therefore, health and healing from a true holistic spiritual perspective is the result of a new consciousness of unity with our only true and original source, the center of the universe in us, the rose atom of the heart, the spark of the spirit. In this, we become whole again. From a Gnostic point of view, we might transcribe these words from Gandhi to say instead, if you want to heal the world, start by healing yourself.
All right. Give us a couple of seconds to stop live streaming.